Hi Gemini, welcome to your October 2019 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here. I've been telling all the signs that I got a new tarot deck. I'm going to show you the box. I don't know if, I haven't seen this card yet, so I don't know if this is one of the cards. I'm sure it must be. But it's called Ethereal Visions. I should have gotten comped for this. But that's okay. I don't mind promoting somebody who's doing a good job. Look at these, the back of these cards. I think that the backs of cards are like underrated. I really like to look at something beautiful like that. So it's been kind of fun. This is an art. I keep wanting to say Art Deco, but I mean Art Nouveau style, which I have to check to see when it was like popular. I thought it was at the turn of the 20th century, like, you know, the beginning of the 1900s. So I'm gonna double check that, but it is a nice vintage kind of a vibe to it, that's for sure. And they're pretty faithful to Rider-Waite, so it makes it nice. I'm not like crazy about, you know, those decks that are so random where you're like, why do they put that for that? It doesn't really do it for me. Even when you know what the meanings are, I think it still is better when you can really make that connection through the visual, because that's what, you know, why even have a visual if you're not going to make it what it is, you know? So the heart of the matter is the Eight of Wands. This can be a card of like your life taking off, like maybe you were in this kind of a vacuum of sorts, and then all of a sudden everything starts moving again. And I think that because Jupiter is in Sag right now, you know, transiting through Sagittarius, and because we had like a retrograde, like I'm not even sure, but it's going to be sometime in October before Jupiter finally comes out of its shadow. I mean, that's how long of an influence it has. I mean, it went direct in August, but it's one of the slower moving, not really that slow, but you know, slower than Venus, slower than Mars. So when it goes direct, it takes a longer time to get back up to speed. And since it's the opposite sign, it does tend to affect the mutable signs. I mean, it's, you know, it's opposing you. So you might just feel like everything starts to pop. And there's, you know, because it's wands, it can feel like very heady, you know, in a sense, because you may be like, it's almost like coming back to life in a way. Let me see what the past position is. Past position is Seven of Wands. So you can see in this card even, I think this is the first time I've drawn this. I haven't, you know, you're one of the first signs that I've used it on, so I'm still, you know, becoming acquainted with these cards. It's funny, from the back it almost looks like anime. But you see the shimmering gold? I love that. It's bordering this card, but in some of it, it's like on the end, you know, part of the image. So the Seven of Wands in this deck, they're showing the back to us, but in the other, my Morgan Greer deck, it's like we see the person from the front in a defensive stance. And it might be that you have felt like you're kind of holding down the fort of your own self-worth. And like, for instance, on the job, like you're defending yourself against a barrage of criticism or whatever. You're the one who isn't doing X, Y, or Z. And you're trying to kind of fend off the attacks like that. And the thing is, with the Eight of Wands, I do have, I mean, I even got here the Seven of Cups. So there might be something where you have other options right now. You don't have to tolerate this anymore. If this is something that has been going on, and even like a personal relationship, I guess it could also qualify for that, Gemini, that you just feel like you're coming into this period where there's a lot happening. And maybe you were holding on to something because you couldn't see that there was anything else out there. And this is kind of common place where a person will stay in a negative relationship because the alternative is being alone. And, you know, I don't think that that's really a good thing, because in the meantime, you're getting kind of beaten down. I'm talking about metaphorically. And that isn't really good for a person's well-being. So whatever is going on, it's just like kind of like, it's like the floodgates opening in a sense. The higher message is the Six of Wands, which is a card of victory. So it almost suggests to me, and this is a card I believe that's associated with Leo. So perhaps there's a Leo person in your life. I don't know. This position is supposed to be, though, like, what have, you know, the bigger picture, what have you learned about yourself based on this thing that has happened? And I would say with you, it's that you have to honor yourself. You have to be believe that you are worthy of praise, because the Six of Wands can be accolades, that you're worthy of it. You may come from a place, maybe the Seven of Wands is, you know, your childhood. Maybe you come from a place where you were always getting criticized, and so that is more familiar to you than getting praise. And same with relationships. And it's so commonplace that people will, I think, sometimes choose the difficult relationship over the more positive one because they feel more comfortable with the person who is critical of them. And this is because it's familiar. They say familiarity breeds contempt, but it also can be very comforting. You know, when you're dealing with things in life that, you know, when you're meeting somebody and you don't really know them, but they're behaving in a way that reminds you of your childhood, for instance, then you might say, yeah, I think I'll choose this person. The Six of Wands can be that you are deserving of this. Like I said, the Eight of Wands could be something, it's almost to me like, it reminds me of, with the Eight of Wands, somebody who has a YouTube channel and they're kind of like plugging away. Maybe, I actually knew someone, like an ASMR artist, and she just was plugging away for years. And I was watching her years before I started my channel, and she was very young. And all of a sudden, I hadn't seen her in a while, and I went to look for her videos, and I was like gasping. She had over 100,000 subscribers, and I had caught up to her in subscribers at one point, even though I had been watching her for years, you know, so she hadn't progressed very quickly. At some point she kind of stalled, and then all of a sudden, and I remember I wrote to her and I said, what happened, you know, and she had a viral video. And that's all it takes, you know, and of course not everybody's doing YouTube, that's just an example. But sometimes You can be doing something for a long time. You have to keep the faith. With Gemini, I would give the example of the overnight sensation novelist. Somebody, you know, who it's their first novel, it's a smash hit. Well, come to find out, they have 7 novels in their drawer. They you know, they might not have ever published them, or, you know, even attempted to publish them, but it's hardly an overnight success. It's really something that took a long time to happen. But once it happens, it's like with the 8 of Wands, I think of that momentum. But you have to be willing to receive this good stuff. That's what I think the 6 of Wands represents. What crosses you is the Page of Wands. So here's more fire energy. Now that I think about it, every card that I picked up there is Wands. So Page of Wands can be just like kind of like Ace of Wands. It can be a new endeavor that is creative. If it's a relationship, it's very passionate, but something you know, there's like maybe it's a timing thing that you can't fully get off the ground for some reason, and that doesn't mean anything. It could be that you have to delay something. Maybe you had hoped to yeah, like the 8 of Wands can be like, you know, you're going back and forth with somebody. Let's say it's a company that you really want to work for, and then all of a sudden you don't hear back from them. Well, it could be that it's delayed, and then you will hear back from them maybe in a month or so, and then you're off to the races. But it's kind of like hurry up and wait, maybe one of those things. But something, if it's something that you're wanting to launch, you might have to hold off, but you have to keep the faith, that's all. What's coming in are advice, 3 of Swords. This is a card of rejection, of feeling a sense of, you know, somebody rejecting you. So let's say that you're fed up with a relationship that you're in that is just like toxic, but you haven't left it yet. And let's say that the other person decides to leave you before you've left them. You know, you were trying to figure out how to let them down easily. And then they come to you and say, hey, I want out of this relationship. I think I just got something like this for another reading. But in any case, it really doesn't matter, because you should count your blessings and say, thank God. Now they can be the heavy. I can get what I want, and I can just be I can be very subdued about it. Excuse me. And I can just act like I'm being, you know, big-hearted, and I don't have to tell them that I was thinking of the same thing, and then I can move on with my life. But I think that this is advice, and I think that the 3 of Swords is like, cut something off definitively. The 3 of Swords can even be like heart surgery. So if you think about like a surgeon can't dilly-dally. They have to just, you know, make that incision. And it's like it can be sometimes maybe a little bit tricky, because again, you may have been lingering with something for a long time that wasn't satisfying, because you were looking for something else to go to. And now that you have it, you may be like feeling more confident that you can leave like a bad job or a bad relationship, but you still in the back of your mind are saying, I'm leaving this. I hope this other thing pans out. That's one of the reasons why I think it's better if you are leaving a job, or, well, sometimes it's not the same, going to a new job as going to a new relationship, I guess. Because something that's practical, it's not the same as your emotional life. But even in both of those cases, you have to separate out when you're unhappy with something from when you want to do something new. And it's not just enough to say, I'll leave my job when I have something else to take its place. Sometimes that will lead a person to stay too long in an unhappy situation. And that could have other repercussions. So this is about just kind of cutting something off very cleanly. And the outcome is the Seven of Cups. This is this is one of those cards that I'm like, what in the actual, what is this all about? In the Rider-Waite deck, they do have like one of the cups containing like a dragon or snake. And it's meant to imply that a person has a lot of options, but almost like either too many options that it's confusing them, or all that glitters may not be gold. So with the Eight of Wands, you're getting, offers, and it's kind of turning your head a little bit, but you're a little bit confused as to what your next direction should be. So I'm going to cut the cards and just pick one more as a clarification. Oh gosh. Wow, what a clarification. Two of Pentacles. So that's a card of like more duality. And your symbol, Gemini, is the Roman numerals 2, And so this is a perfect one. This could be like having to choose between two jobs. You may decide, rather than having to choose, that you're going to do both. You may be very busy, kind of juggling your jobs. This is kind of like, just like the Rider-Waite deck. This looks like somebody who's kind of doing a juggling act. And the pentacles relate to practical matters, so, like two jobs and things like that, two sources of income. And if it's a relationship, you may find that, you have to choose between both of them. But because the pentacles are involved, it's kind of like which person will provide more stability and more, tangible value in my life. You may even have been involved with a Leo or some other fire sign like Sag or Aries, and they are like really kind of exciting and things like that, but there's an instability there, and this other person might be more stable and more like reliable. As boring as that might sound, it might be just what you need at this stage of your life, depending on, where you're at. So anyway, Gemini, that's what I have for you. If you'd like a private reading, the link to my website is below. I have like an offer right now. If you sign up for my newsletter, it's not really, it's just for my mailing list, and it's on my website, rainamoonastrology.com. You get 19% off for your first reading. So, in any case, have a great month. Take care. Bye.